Is my pleasure to introduce a dear friend of mine. We literally a brother from another mother, Rick Jansen. We've known each other now, gosh, Rick, what's it been since 2017 or something like that. And we've always played on different sides of the fence, right? And spent years recruiting each other. And that just developed into a solid friendship. Rick is a Jedi master when it comes to AI and technology. And the strengths he brings to the table, I'm constantly taking notes and turning around and calling him right back or meeting with him and going, okay, dive deeper on that. And so, he's Rick's career has been as owning his own brokerage. He was a former attorney. His knowledge is vast in brokerage, as well as in growth, as well as in technology, changing markets. And he's currently with a different company, and yet still, Rick and I were chatting, and it was like, okay, what being the Atomic Habits call, what can create so much value that you can turn around and use it today, right? Not next week, not next month, but implement something to where you can use it today. And if you have questions, definitely reach out to Rick about it. So with that, Rick, let me pass that torch on to you, my friend, and take it away.
Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate being able to be here. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of EXP. I was with EXP for 6 years. At my peak, I had 50 agents in 18 states and 3 countries in my RevShare group. I, again, in 2022, I think I was in the top 2% production in the country at EXP. So huge fan of the model, huge fan of RevShare. You guys are definitely in the right place. So when I do want to make this call all about you, Patrick, how much time do I have?
Right up until 10:45.
Okay,
Right,
cool.
maybe a couple minutes prior to that, just to allow some questions, which I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, so I was asked to come on and talk about how to use AI in production. And that is a very, very broad category. So let's start with a couple of questions for me to get to know you so that this call resonates with you in the most strategic way. Drop in the chat quickly if you're brand new to ChatGPT, AI, all that, put an A. If you're kind of a moderate user, put a B. If you feel pretty fluent, put a C. Let me just kind of get a feel for who's in the audience. Some A's, some B's, one C. Awesome, Courtney. All right. And for my A's, are you like you've never touched AI and you're totally clueless and all of this is going to go over your head, or you've dabbled a little bit? A, if you're brand new. B, if you or one, if you're brand new. Two, if you've dabbled. Couple of dabblers on the A's. 1.5. All right. I just want to make sure I'm speaking your language. Because what I try to do is in every class I teach, I make it practical and tactical, so you leave here with stuff you can actually implement. The other thing I'd like to do is address real problems that you have in your business and not just teach you something generic. I don't know about you, but I've gone to way too many classes where the guy at the front of the room, the gal in front of the room, just blah, blah, blah for 45 minutes. And I don't know how to actually apply that to my business. So if you can drop in the chat, like a time vampire that you're experiencing, something that really just is, drudge work, sucks up a lot of your time, whether that's CMAs, whether that's creating social media, email marketing, whatever that might be, drop that in the chat. Also, maybe your big bottlenecks, like where are you really feeling constrained in your business? So we got social media, consistent newsletters, emails, CMAs, workflows. All right. And are the majority of you using Lofty or KV Core, or what's your CRM? Clean up your database, social media, contacts, keeping other agents tracking, KV Core, Bold Trail. Is that Bold Trail is the new name for something or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. What's it the new name for?
Well, it took, if you didn't specify which database, your KV Core converted over to Bolt Trail.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. So a lot of KV Core users and one HubSpot user. All right, perfect. So we've got some social media. We've got some email. I imagine that creating content is also kind of a big time suck for people, right? staying consistently on top of that. So we're going to try to address some of those things here as we go through. So I'm going to be going into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, if everybody can see my screen, ChatGPT, when people are referring to AI, they're usually referring to ChatGPT. ChatGPT, just to give you some foundation for the newbies, is a large language model. Large language model means they took billions and billions of words, almost all the information on the internet, brought it together, processed it, and it anticipates via an algorithm and statistics what the next letter is going to be, what the next word is going to be, what the next sentence is going to be. So it's trying to think like a human based off of all the knowledge in the world. That's kind of the short way to put it. The cool thing about it is you can actually talk to AI, artificial intelligence. You can talk to it just like it's a human, right? You have to learn how to code. You don't have to learn Python or HTML. You don't have to learn any of that stuff. You can just talk to it like a human. And so when I'm interacting with, and this is for A's and B's and C's as well, when I'm interacting with ChatGPT, and this is also like Google has Gemini, Meta has Meta has their AI. I'm blanking on it for a second. X has Grok. Everybody's got their own thing, right? So, but Meta has Llama. But when Anthropic has Claude, there's Perplexity. You might hear a lot of these names. I'm going to focus on ChatGPT today, but a lot of what I'm teaching can go to any one of those, and I'll also try to teach why you use which model when. But let's get down to like brass tacks here. When you're interacting with it, this little box in the center here, what are you working on? This is what's called a chat box, right? Everything you're putting in here is going to be part of a chat thread or a chat. So when I type in here, it's going to start building and it's going to start growing and growing and growing and growing. And the cool thing is it's learning from itself while you're interacting with it. So unlike a Google search where you search one thing and you're done, here you can just ask questions, you can probe, you can go deeper, and it's remembering all the way through. Using this little plus button, you could add files, you can add pictures, and then there's some tools here as well where you can create an image, you can search the web, you can run deep research, and this deep research function is super, super cool. Finishing up the sort of the highlights of this, when you click on this ChatGPT up in the top, it lists all the different models that you have O3 for advanced reasoning, you have 4.5 is better for writing, 4.1 is better for analysis. So by and large, you're probably going to be sticking in the 4, but know that different levels have different things. Like if I'm working on a business plan, I'm probably going to be using advanced reasoning. I'm not going to be just in 4.0, but if I'm doing some advanced writing, if I'm creating some lead magnets, I might be in 4.5. This is going to be drinking like a fire hose. Fortunately, I've got my otter.ai notes running. My AI note taker is running. I'm going to use my transcript from this call and give you kind of a playbook based off of today, because I'm probably going to be teaching faster than you can absorb. So when we go in here into what's called a chat in this center box, this is where you enter a prompt. And a lot of people are going to be and some of this is basics, but I'm going to cover it in a new way. And I've got to catch some people up to speed here. So give me 5 minutes, B's and C's. When you're in this little box here, this is what's called, this is where you enter a prompt. And I used to teach like really prompt engineering. Like there were all these acronyms. Who are you? What are you trying to do? How's ChatGPT interacting with you? What tone do you want it to respond in? What format do you want it to respond in? All this other nonsense, right? Got really, really complicated. And people were getting paid 150, 200 grand a year to become prompt engineers for about 6 months. Then that job went away, because now what you can do is have ChatGPT write your own prompts for you. So let's say you say, working on an investor analysis of an off-market property. Does anybody work with investors here? Every once in a while, you get that like, hey, get me something off market, right? You get on all these off market lists. They send you all this crap with totally inflated ARVs, after repair values. They throw in some comps that are totally irrelevant, inflate the spread being between what you buy it for and what you're going to sell it for after remodeling costs and everything. And so, there's a lot of junk to weed through. And I like working with investors because, hey, you can make 10K cash in about 10 days on a lot of these deals. So it's fast in a slow market, but you really have to separate the wheat from the chaff here. So I'm working on an investor analysis of an off-market property, looking for comp analysis And I could just speak this right here too with this little microphone button, but I don't know if I click that dictate button, if I don't want to type, I don't know how it's going to interact with my Otter. So I'm just going to be typing here, but know that you can really quickly, both on your phone, on the ChatGPT app, and on the platform here, just dictate by hitting that microphone. So I'm looking for analysis and repair values or repair estimates and recommendations. I need you to analyze pictures, listing details, etc., as well as the subject property. Now, that's a really horrible prompt. But you can use this for CMAs too. And I used this just yesterday for a property up in Boulder. I didn't know if it was going to be 2 million, 2.5 million, really nicely renovated, but it's an older home in an area where there's a lot of newer homes. So you can use this as a CMA, quick analysis, or you can use it for investor. I'm going to use it as an investor because it's a little more in depth, but the same principles apply to doing CMAs. And I did see someone put CMA in the chat. The beautiful thing is you can just put in all of your gobbledygook here. This is your prompt. This is me prompting, not knowing how to use ChatGPT. I'm talking like an average Joe. I'm working on an investor analysis. I'm just this is what I'm trying to do, right? But now I'm going to go back up to the beginning of this. I'm going to say, please create a prompt that will help me. And you can misspell. I always go back and respell things like this, but you can misspell and it understands, but create a prompt that will help me in front of your gobbledygook. Now watch what happens when I hit this little up arrow. This is the return that starts my conversation. I'm asking ChatGPT, how can I help you do a better job helping me? And look at the much better prompt that it's coming up with. You'll act as a residential investment analyst, focusing on maximizing ROI for a value-add investor. I need property review, comp analysis. I need ARV estimates. I need repair budget estimates. I need the ROI and offer strategy. I'm going to provide the property listing description, etc. Please wait for all inputs before analyzing. That is a much better prompt than I would ever write. And the golden rule is garbage in, garbage out, but gold in, gold out. And so I have ChatGPT write my prompts for me now based off of my gobbledygook. Now, what I also do, I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to copy this, and you can also copy it right here with the square over square. But I'm going to go back in because I want only a part of that. I'm going to go back into this gray box. I'm going to hit the pencil, and I'm going to eliminate the prompt that my part where I was asking it for a prompt, because that kind of muddies up the thread a little bit. I'll go back in here and it says, please wait for all inputs before beginning analysis. I'm going to hit send. Now I've put ChatGPT's prompt back in, and now it's saying, hey, I'm ready to assist you. I couldn't attach anything when I'm editing the original prompt, but now I can. So I can just go to this plus button and add photos and files. And I'm going to go into my downloads folder where I keep all my garbage. And I can pull up, oh, it's going to jump around on me here. Where is that? Da-da-da. So I could pull up any of these comps, right? I can pull up photos. I can put up these comps. Here are photos compressed, the listing history. Here are the comps. So I can pull up listing, if I run my own comps on the MLS, which I always do, because whatever the investor's providing is going to be garbage, or the wholesaler. So I'm pulling up the listing history. I'm going to print out a PDF of all the photos. I'm pulling up a PDF of, printing out a PDF of all of the listing details, which has the square footage and everything. And I'm going to upload 75 pages here, and ChatGPT can analyze it in 30 seconds. It's really, truly phenomenal. I can't find my investor example right here, but should we just run one on this property? So I'm going to, let's treat this property as if it were a investor property. because I've got these people under contract. I'm not worried about anybody here stealing my client. All right. So let's run these comps, the photos, and here we go. So please analyze 3056 8th Street. Older. And you can go into, you can go into Zillow, you can pull up. And so again, if we were to do this in more detail, you can go into Zillow, pull up your property, drop in some. I wanted to do a live example, but this might take too much time. So we're going to move on to the next thing. But you can just add your comps right here. You can analyze that property, go to Zillow, go to county records and pull up the beds, the baths, the square footage, the lot size or whatever. Just drop it in here and it's going to come back to you with a full report. It's going to come back to you. Let me pull up one I did yesterday, actually, because I've already done this, so I don't have to do it live. Liquid flip analysis. Here we go. That's a better way of doing it. Copy's kicking in. So I'm going to get rid of all of this because that's not what we're doing anymore. But you can see how it's breaking out the flip scenario, right? It's going to spreadsheet out the active comps. It's running all that for me. I can expand it with these little arrow over arrows and see the whole spreadsheet that's doing. And it's kind of breaking all those out for me. Too many Zoom windows. Sorry, guys. It's just kind of dodging around with all the moving the menus and the pictures and the people and all that. But it's going to give me, like, after repair value estimates, it's going to give me ROI calculations, all of this wonderful stuff that I need to help my client make a really quick analysis of whether this property in Lakewood is a good deal. I'm saying, hey, we need to reach a target ROI of 20 to 30%, my return on investment. What does our ARV target need to be? Where do we need to offer? Why are some properties better than others? Why, where's our conservative, realistic, and tight budget estimates on this property? And the beautiful thing about it is it has gone in, it's interpreted all of the images. It's giving me pro formas for rehab budget, selling costs, net profit, all of this stuff. And I can do this for an investor. I can do this just for a regular CMA. I can go into Bold Trail and run my comps and do a CMA there, but then I can come back out here and do a fresh analysis and then have kind of two ways of looking at things. You're always going to want to keep the human in the loop on this. So when I'm looking at things, again, you can also just add screenshots. So if I want to just run the MLS and just take a screenshot of the one-liners, I can just copy and paste the screenshots into here and it'll analyze all of that. So it'll actually do optical character recognition, see all of this information, know what it is, and analyze it and spreadsheet it and run comps. So it's a really remarkable tool that I think people are underutilizing for CMAs. Before I go on, any questions on that one topic?
Super impressive.
Was that Don?
Yeah, it was. I was just, it's super impressive what this can do with, I mean, I'm in awe of what is at our fingertips these days.
It is amazing. And so what I did one time on this, I was looking at a property. I've got this investor who's super, super picky. He sent me his buy box. I've actually created a little custom GPT around his buy box, and I'll tell you what that means in a second. But I'm constantly throwing in all of these things from New Western and all these other wholesalers into this analysis to try to figure out where am I going to hit what he's looking for. Cosmetics, super cheap, super, big profit margin, and he doesn't want to pay a realtor or anything. Does that sound like your typical client, right? But in any event.
Well, and that's kind of, that is actually my question. So with this capabilities, how do we continue to add value to the process, right? So yeah. Let's say he goes to a ChatGPT class like you're giving us. How do we give our professional edge to this to ensure that we don't get taken out of the loop?
Yeah, so perfect question. So first of all, he's not going to do this because he's busy. He's busy making money. he wants me to do this work because he doesn't have time to do it. The second thing is when I'm going through 100 wholesale deals a month, I show him 2. My value is in screening. And so I'm doing this constantly in the background, and he knows I'm separating the wheat from the chaff. I'm bringing that, the cream to the top, so to speak. And I'm only going to present him stuff that has probably a 50% strike ratio for him. So when I present, and when I do an analysis like this at the bottom, I say, now present this in an email to my investor. Start with how this meets his buy box. Second, go into the quick rehab analysis and give him price ranges, show him where his profit is, and then give all the details. So I provide him a really quick executive summary up top. And there was one time recently, it was about 9 o'clock. I got a deal in, and it said, hey, showings are at 11:30. So I got this deal in at like 9 o'clock. I had kicked out to him by like 9:15 an analysis. He rearranged the schedule and showed up at 11:30 for the showing, because he had enough value from me that he knew it was worth his time to change his schedule to go over there. Now, 23 people submitted an offer on that property because it actually was a good one, and he missed by 5K. But he said, hey, that was still worthwhile for me. Thank you. Keep coming. Keep them coming. Because he doesn't have time to run to all the open houses. He doesn't have time to submit all the bids. He wants to know, based off of my comps, my spreads, my remodeling estimates, based off the local market, right? Because he can say, I'm in the Denver market, so give me comp estimates or rehab estimates based off of Denver, Seattle, Tacoma, whatever. It knows that. And so that's where you add your value. Is I used to just like get these in. I'd go to NARRPR. I'd get my quick little ARV. I'd go to Bold Trail. I'd get my quick little ARV. I'd go to Zillow. I'd get an estimate. I'd blend the 3 and say, hey, it's possible there's some money here. That was weak. I offered no value at that point. Keep speaking. I'm going to step away for 1 second. Keep speaking.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I like the thought process of you screening 100. It's probably valuable for you to let him know how many you screen to put him in front of those 2 opportunities. Since June 7th, I've screened 37 properties in the Denver metro area for you. These are the 2 that I'm suggesting that we take a closer look at and perhaps even take a run at.
Absolutely, Don. That's why you're the bomb. That's why people are following you. Treva, can I ask, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. So once you have this information in ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using, what format or what software, where do you place it so that the presentation looks nice? Because that's something I'm struggling with. I get the information, then where do I put it so it doesn't just look like, a bunch of printed off, black and white pages that are mumbo jumbo?
Sure. So if I'm doing it for just an investor, I'm going to just quick email. They want the skim. They want the executive summary.
Okay.
If I'm doing this as a CMA for a client, I'm going to bring this out. And there are 3 ways I can do it. One is I might just take this whole thing. I might do all the analysis, throw it up in a Google Doc, and then send it to them as a PDF or give them just the Google Doc link. You can also use, if you want to get really fancy about it, you can go to something like highnote.io. If you want to do quick presentations, some of my clients, there are 2 tools I'm going to recommend. And if people just throw their email in the chat, I'm going to send you like a 57 of my favorite tools, little PDF. So you don't have to take notes on all this stuff. But there's a program called beautiful.ai and another one called gamma.app, gamma.app. Beautiful AI and Gamma app both allow you to just upload a PDF or drop in a whole bunch of stuff, and they will create for you a beautiful slide presentation. Gamma creates a beautiful live dynamic website. So you can tailor the colors to your brand, you can tailor the fonts to your brand. And so you can quickly upload all of this stuff and make a 10 slide PowerPoint presentation, keynote presentation, PDF, or dynamic website in 30 seconds. So when people are, some of my clients, when they're doing like a market analysis, and they'll pull all the information off of MLS, and I'll give you a little secret here too, and what I do. But they'll run their market analysis. They'll do the market analysis through ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, I want to do a market analysis, translate it for a buyer, translate it for seller. What does this really mean? Go back up to the top, create a prompt that, and then create and then do your market analysis. But they'll upload that analysis to Beautiful AI or Gamma app, and then they'll make a beautiful presentation out of it. Then they use Loom or BigView, big.vu, and they'll throw a teleprompter script up on BigView. BigView, then they read the script, and their eyes are all over the place, but BigView will actually redirect their eyes to the center screen. So no matter if you're doing this with your teleprompter, it just redirects your eyes and says, here you are, you have direct contact. And now they've got a beautiful screen recording of them presenting a script that ChatGPT wrote over a market analysis that ChatGPT wrote over a presentation that Gamma or Beautiful created. And now they've got this little, minute to 2 minute video that maybe took them 15 to 30 minutes to create that used to take 3 hours. That was a lot. Did that answer your question though?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. And again, you're gonna get a transcript of, like, a summary of my transcript of this broken down into practical tactical steps, because I know some of this goes, woof, like what the hell did he just say? But here was my little tip, and I just kind of get excited. I get on fire, and then I have to like translate it for people. But one of the fun things I like to do when you see market analysis come through, and I saw 2 things on this. One, I saw a friend of mine recently post all these stats. Right, she's in Hawaii. She had all the islands. She had one slide for each. Here's inventory up. Here's home prices down. All this stuff. Beautiful slides that mean nothing to anybody. And how many times do you see market update slides? Nobody knows what those mean, right? Days on market up, inventory down, whatever. Like, who knows? So I just pulled all her slides into ChatGPT using the little plus button here, and I said, ChatGPT, create a prompt that will translate these slides for me into something that's actually meaningful for the buyer and meaningful for the seller. What is the impact to them personally? If they're looking to sell, if they're wondering whether they should sell, if they're wondering whether they should buy, show me what this means and give me a caption for each of these images. So when I post them on Facebook, I actually can post something that means something, right? And that's just me talking. So if I was using the dictate, that's my level of prompting, right? Hit the dictate button, boom, and then go back up to the top and say, create a prompt that. So I'm going to get the prompt, I'm going to throw it back in, it's going to analyze the slides, and now I've got the Facebook post, I've got all the captions for all the images that actually have a call, like translate it. That's the power of what someone's looking for a realtor to do, is add value. Tell me what this information means to me, right? I'm a single mom, single dad, I'm a happy couple, I'm a whatever I am. Single, I'm young and single with no money. I'm young and single with a lot of money. I'm downsizing. Whatever your life situation is, like, they want to know what those slides mean to them. And so then when we can actually add that meaningful value and then add a call to action at the end of it, which is book an appointment with Treva. Am I saying your name right? All right. So book an appointment with me, book an appointment with Jackie, book an appointment with Don. Like, that should be your consistent call to action, because if you're not booking an appointment every single day, what are you doing? Why are you taking time away from your family? Why are you taking time away from working out? Why are you taking time away from anything if you're not booking an appointment every day? So have all the calls to actions from all of these things be, here's my calendar link, book an appointment. I would love to meet you for coffee. I'd love to meet you for lunch. I'd love to meet you via Zoom. But now they actually know you know something, right? It's not just the same slide that everybody else is putting up. But here's a pro tip that I love to do. Who would like to leverage the payroll of Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor? Have them do all their work for you, right? So if you've ever gone deep on those sites, there are amazing market reports, huge data, migration reports in and out of your city. There's like statistical analysis for days. I mean, somewhere they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this stuff, and nobody looks at it. The consumer has no clue what it means. The realtors never look at it, and they're just wasting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I like to use it. So I'll go find the market report for Denver for this month from Realtor, from Zillow, and from Redfin. And then I'll bring them in here and I'll say, hey, ChatGPT, find the commonalities between these. Where do they differ? Not in numbers per se, but in interpretation. Where's the market going up? Where's it going down? What's the forecast for the future, et cetera? And analyze these. And it'll analyze those 3 reports. Then I bring in my local MLS and I say, hey, what's the difference between the national trends that all my clients are reading about on CNN, Fox, USA Today, wherever they're getting their junk news, like where they're hearing the national stuff, but here's my local stuff. So now you've interpreted the national. Now, how does my local market differ? Now write for me an email going to the content creation that people are asking about in the chat. Now create an email for me with a executive summary up top that summarizes the national trends, that tells where the local market's going that's different, and then break it down for the home buyer and for the home seller here in my local market. Weave into it, my unique selling proposition, et cetera, and then have ChatGPT write that email. And then now you can say, look, I've analyzed all the national data. Well, I had ChatGPT do it, right? But you can say, I've done this. I, Don Yoakum, am the local expert. I am bringing 25 years of experience to the market, and I can interpret all the stuff up here for you and bring it down and make it simple so that you can actually make a decision. So let's go back in the emails here for a second. Who are you writing to? We all know one-to-many doesn't work, but how do you write one-to-one? How do you write a listing to a market, to somebody specifically? If I'm in Denver and I'm writing to Wash Park, that's a different buyer than Greenwood Village, different buyer than Centennial. If I write all of my listings the same way, I'm not resonating. And if you're not speaking to someone who wants your product in their language, I could be selling soft drinks to someone, but they want to buy bottled water. That's not going to work as a conversation. So I have to find somebody who wants bottled water. I need to find what they're looking for. I need to find the energy drink person. I need to identify the soda person, right? And then write to them in a language they understand. Because if I'm pushing nutrition to a Coca-Cola drinker, that's not going to work either. So I'll come into ChatGPT here and I'll say, hey, I need to figure out who I'm speaking to. This is going to go to the newsletter segment here and all your content creation and to listings. But I need to figure out who I'm speaking to. So I'll come in here and I'm going to start a new chat. And I meant to do more of this live, but I'm having so much fun talking with you guys that sometimes I forget the live demo. But I say, I need to create an avatar, right? Does everybody know what an avatar is? It's like the ideal person you're talking to. So create an avatar for Wash Park 80209 home buyer, 1 million plus. I need you to create a prompt that will create an avatar for Wash Park. So again, I put in my gobbledygook. I'm misspelling on purpose here, also because it's hard to type in front of a lot of people and when there's an internet lag. But now it's doing an avatar creation prompt for a Wash Park home buyer. So it's going to create a system prompt. Here's the inputs, but I'm going to find out the psychographics, the lifestyle preferences, the motivations for buying. Like why Wash Park, their search behavior, what are their triggers? What are their hopes, fears, dreams, desires, their goals? What problems have they run into in the past when they're working with a realtor, right? And you can refine this avatar with a little bit more, I really put junk in, but it still gave me something amazing. So if I'm writing my newsletter and I'm translating all of this international data or all this national data, comparing it to the local, well, who am I writing to? If I've segmented my email list by neighborhoods or by price points, I can write now to the $1 million home buyer differently than I write to the startup and first-time home buyer. And I can say, hey, now write this newsletter to this avatar. I need to write it to someone in a language they will understand, right? And for bonus points, I'm going to drop in my unique selling proposition. I'm going to say, so now tailor this newsletter, tailor this listing description to this avatar, and weave in my unique selling proposition as the logical conclusion. And as the CTA put in, hey, book an appointment with Rick. But now if I've segmented my email list properly, and whether it's by neighborhood, we have like 18 local cities here that all kind of count as Denver, but they're all very, very different. I can tailor by city, I can tailor by zip code, I can tailor by price point. And now I can just create a number of different prompts here, and avatar prompts, and tailor that newsletter differently to each one of those little markets. Does that make sense? To do this repetitively, and anything you're going to do more than once is repetitive, right? So you can go up here into your little button up here, and you can say the three dots. No. Woo. All right, so where are we here? We keep changing things, moving things around. So first of all, let me just point out, when you click on your little human here and go to customize GPT, ChatGPT, what traits should ChatGPT have, and what anything ChatGPT should know about you. All of this stuff, what should it call you? What do you do? You can enter all this information and get ChatGPT to recognize you a little bit more. But anything I'm gonna do more than once, like a listing description, I'm gonna build a custom GPT around. Now, what is a custom GPT? A custom GPT is, if you go to GPTs over here on the left, a custom GPT is like building a little unique virtual digital assistant to help you with something. So any workflow you're going to do more than once, like a listing description, like a newsletter, like creating avatars, I'm going to create a custom GPT around. And this is going to be really, really advanced stuff, but you go to this little create button here, and there are two ways to do it. One is you can click the create over here on the left and tell it a little bit about what you're doing, and ChatGPT will build it for you. But the other is you can go in here to configure, and now you can build it yourself. And where you're really building is with these custom instructions. So if I just did a really good chat thread and I got the results I wanted, and I've nuanced it, and I built that avatar, I built that email newsletter, and all working really well, at the bottom of that chat thread, I might say, hey, can you now create custom instructions for a custom GPT so I can do this more than once? And I'm going to drop those instructions over here. I can add to my knowledge base by uploading files. This is kind of like, where do you go to school? So let's think of this little window right here as a kitchen. And this blue box up here is the recipe and the instructions for how to cook. The knowledge base is where you upload files. That's kind of the school they went to, the Culinary Institute of Technology or Martha Stewart's recipe book, whatever. And then down here in the lower right is kind of the dining room where I'm testing the output. So I'm going to put in custom instructions and say, hey, here's how you're going to cook the food. Here's what I want you to do to make a listing description. Here's where you're going to school. And the knowledge base could include 5 samples of your best listing descriptions, rules on how to write a listing, words never to use, words always to use. All of your knowledge dumps into here. Now I'm going to hit, when I hit create, or this button will also change to update, now I can go into this lower right window and test the food. And I might say, you know what, it needs a little bit of a nuance here. And I'll go back up into the conversation window up here in the instructions, and I'll nuance it. And then I'll update it and I'll taste it. And I'll go to instructions, I'll nuance it, I'll update it, I'll taste it. And once it's done, then it's a custom GPT that you can use over and over. This is like the workflow window where you can see behind the scenes and test it. But then once it's actually done, you can create that custom GPT and start using it many, many times. So now you're getting into greater productivity. Right now, this is also something where maybe Patrick's hired a virtual assistant at $4 to $12 an hour, depending upon the experience level. Once you've created your workflow, now you can just give this custom GPT to a VA and say, do it for me all the time. And it used to be that I couldn't delegate something because I didn't know how to get them to do it consistently. And I figured, I could just do it faster myself than I could teach it. But I can now build a custom GPT to do a job better than I can do, faster than I can actually do the job, and definitely faster than I can teach it. So I really love building up a library of custom GPTs. Last thing, because I've got 3 more minutes. Another thing you're going to want to pay attention to for greater productivity is these little things called projects. And so you can click on new project, name a project. I'm going to put test. You can name a project, and then when you're in a project, everything that you're working on, so you might have like a newsletter project, or you might have a team, not a team folder, because that's a whole different account. But just like in a custom GPT, you can add instructions right here on how you want to interact with that project. If you're working on marketing consistently, social media consistently, you can add files here, and then that whole project and every chat you create within that project will now learn off of those files and act on those instructions. So if you're creating social media, and that was another thing in the chat thread, if you're creating social media content and you want sort of to create one consistent place where you're finding all this stuff, and you don't want to have to reteach ChatGPT all the time, you build a project. Patrick, I think we have 2 minutes for questions. That was a lot of riffing. Hopefully that brought a lot of value to you guys.
All right, what questions do we have? Quick questions. Yes, Kurt.
So, how do we get where we can get a little more simple way of starting this? Because this was, I mean, it's great, but at the same time, my head is just ready to pop with all this information today.
Absolutely. I totally understand that, Kurt. This was a lot. And for some people, this was going to be taking their B or C experience in a new direction and teaching them things about ChatGPT they didn't know. For anybody that was in the, hey, that I'm the total newbie place, you can definitely reach out to me. I do have beginner classes. I have 3 levels of classes. Don, can I share this, or whoever's in charge of the call? Can I share this for 1 minute?
Absolutely.
All right. So if you go to jansen.ai, I do have 3 levels of classes. One is called Foundations. The next is called Growth, and the third is called Elite. So Foundations teaches the very, very basics. We start with kind of a 4-week sprint where we do get you kind of up to speed, and we slow down the fire hose to a drinkable level. Then we maintain that month to month on an optional basis. There's no contract. Month to month, you can stay in to cement your knowledge and to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. Growth is for people who are, maybe doing 10 plus deals a year, where it's time to bring on a virtual assistant. And how do you go? So Foundations makes you a human plus AI. Growth teaches you how to become a VA plus AI. And now you're leveraging the work of somebody else to enhance your voice to really grow, but now they're also leveraging AI. Elite is for sort of the top 5% of agents, where they're really wanting to dial in their business and go from 40 million to 100 million, 100 million to 300 million. Some of my clients are doing that, where we're really systematizing, automating stuff. We're using Zapier integrations, leveraging AI to do custom market analysis. That's a whole different level of stuff. But I train the whole team, all the VAs, all the people. So there are 3 different levels. Kurt, for you, I would recommend that's probably the Foundations. And then every once in a while, I also do give webinars. If people want, I'm going to be doing a webinar very soon here with a company called realestatecontent.ai. These are really, really good guys, and they give my clients a very special deal. But this kind of kicks off your social media on autopilot. You can spend 2 hours one day and have 30 days of content across all your channels. And it's beautiful. It's crisp and clean. So if people want to learn about that, I'm going to drop my email in the chat here. You can reach out to me personally, asking for how that applies. Any of this stuff applies to you.
As we're wrapping, I know Tom, we're gonna shoot it over to you in just a second. Quick question. How many of us would like to have Rick back on a call with us again and dive a little bit deeper? Yeah, I know you're just scratching the surface here, Rick. So, cool. So we'll work on that. And Tom has his hand up. I love it. All right, Tom, shooting it to you.
Okay, awesome. This is great. Thanks, Rick, Patrick. So I love the quote that AI will not replace realtors. Realtors that utilize AI will replace the realtors that don't. So this is awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week. Now you got your inspiration. Time to put it in the perspiration. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. See ya.
Thank you, Rick. That was really great.
Thank you, Rick.